Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
I am live. I wish the people can hear Dan say that every day in our headphones, Teddy. You are live. Anyway, welcome, people. Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. That handsome man is Teddy Covers. And Teddy, speaking about a handsome man, Paul Rudd yesterday voted sexiest man alive. Why am I bringing for 2021? Why am I bringing that up? I read on Twitter that Dave Cokin was voted sexiest man alive in 1852. He's on this show today. He's got Pittsburgh, UNC, South Florida, Cincinnati, and Syracuse, Louisville, a whole bevy of college football. Ralph Michaels joining us. He's looking at Tennessee, Georgia game and the New Orleans, Tennessee game, and he's got charts. He's got charts, people. How are you, my brother?
Well, I've been doing better, Prez. And of course, big game breakdown for me today will be on tonight's NFL game, the Ravens and the Dolphins. But I'm not too great today, Prez. How do you know when you're cold? And I'm cold, man. This week has been a nightmare. So how do you know when you're cold? Well, you can't get a freaking Maction game to go over the total. Northern Illinois, Ball State turns into a field goal fest at the end. And, of course, they missed the one before halftime that would have sent it over. You have Miami last night, and Jimmy Butler gets hurt. And if the Heat are up comfortable in the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler's in that game. Miami wins and covers. Instead, he gets hurt in game, and the Lakers get a bevy of three-pointers from everyone on the roster and end up winning and covering. And I've been running like that this whole week, dude. So what do you do when you run terrible? Right, I'm not running bad. I've run terrible all week. Bad picks. I'm picking the wrong games. I had 4 games on my NBA shortlist yesterday. One of them was a free big game breakdown today. The 2 for the clients, 0-2. The 2 that didn't make the cut, 2-0. It's been that way, and it's frustrating. So what do you do when that happens? Number 1, you don't panic. Number 2, you don't force anything. Number 3, you don't play anything extra. And number 4, take a breath. Take a day off if you need to. You'll be fine. It doesn't run like this forever. One advantage that we have, Prez, and Dave Cokin as well, we're guys who've been in the business for a long time. So you know the streaks come and you know the streaks go. But handling a losing streak, not blowing up your bankroll when you're not seeing things clearly and you're not running good, is perhaps the most important lesson we can teach. Prez, what about you? What did you learn last night?
Well, I mean, dude, I'm in the same boat. Firstly, I was on Miami last night as well. No.
Cold all week.
Dude, Teddy, the whole week? Dude,
last time I won a game was Saturday.
Okay, you win. My hockey season, there you go. You just won. That right there
That's
is
the start.
To catapult you. Dude, my hockey season, I mean, every year I kill it in hockey, and I am so out of sync. My free plays aren't hitting. Nothing is hitting. I call overs, they go under. I call unders, they go over. I am doing nothing right. And the thing about it is, Teddy, and I was talking to Vivian about this, I don't know what to do. Like, I just have to stick to my guns. And let it work itself out, because I know I can do this. I know I can win. I know I'm one of the best in hockey betting. I'm just in a disaster.
You're out of sync. And when you're out of sync, there's only one thing to do, and that's you tap the brakes. You don't have to jam on the brakes, but you got to tap the brakes. All right. Again, when I'm saying don't play anything extra, when you're ice cold is not the time to say, oh, I'm going to pepper the board.
Yeah. I got one play tonight.
Yeah. So it's something look, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be Dave Cokin, you can be Lawrence Presman, you can be me, you can be, some guy who just started betting last week. these runs, good runs and bad runs, inevitably are going to happen. How you handle those runs is the difference between you being in this as a short-term hobby or you being in this for a lifetime of potential profits. And, when you're running bad, you don't force extra plays. You don't panic. You take a breath. You come back the next day and do what you do.
And Teddy, you know what I tell people? I've been saying this for 30 years. You bet 10 days in a row, you lose one of those days. You win 9. Is that the same thing as betting 10 years in a row and losing 1 year and winning 9?
No. The second is a whole lot better.
I'm talking about the fact that if you bet for 10 years and you lose 1 year, it is somewhat analogous to 1 day out of 10 or 1 week out of 10 weeks or 1 month out of 10 months.
Sure.
Oh my God, Teddy, you didn't argue with me. Oh, hugs.
That's
Dave Cokin, everyone. Dave, 1852, sexiest man alive. That was one of the best tweets I've ever seen. You put it up. I was drinking coffee when I read it, and I spit all over my shirt.
So that means that went about as well as your selections this week.
No, I loved and firstly, it's only my hockey selection.
If you spilled coffee all over yourself, that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with it, man. I literally just changed shirts. It really wasn't that big a deal. And I'm only a disaster in hockey. My college basketball 2-0 to start the season. I'm
good.
Big in NBA. It's just hockey, dude. How are you, man? Welcome to the show. What's going on in the wonderful world of Cokin?
I'm good. Last night was very good. Had a big night in college basketball. Off to a very good start in college hoops. Won a hockey game. I did lose a MAC play. I can't figure that conference out. But a very good night overall. Started on Sunday. I had a big day in the NFL and looking to stay warm. I've got a 5% playing college football. I've got a small hockey play up tonight. I will not have any college basketball today. It's a short schedule, and I didn't find anything I liked, even as a small play. And one note, by the way, and this is good. The only packages I'm going to be selling in college basketball this season are for best bets, 4%, and of course, whenever they come up, 5% plays. Everything else, the free plays, which are actual plays for me, they're all going to be free. So I had 2 of them last night, New Mexico and Wyoming. And congrats to everybody who tailed those. And just follow me on Twitter at Dave Cokin or check my homepage daily at WagerTalk, WTBuzz/DC to see about what the free plays are.
Excellent. It's funny because I was going to ask you, I don't know, Teddy, if you read Dave's promotion. I was like, I couldn't even make heads or tails of it. Now I understand. Awesome stuff. More amazing free content for all our listeners. That's worth a thumbs up, everyone.
Yes,
Dave, let's get into it, man. Pittsburgh, UNC. This is a game a ton of experts are involved in. I'm really curious where you're going here. Pittsburgh -6.5. 2 good quarterbacks. How are we handicapping this game?
Yeah, 2 good offenses and 2 bad defenses. But the number is right where it should be. But the scheduling dynamics are where the edge is in this game. Pittsburgh has a lot more to play for. They can win their division in the ACC and have a chance to get to a big bowl. This is the one season in the ACC where everybody's got a shot because Clemson's not real good. So it's a big game for the Panthers. North Carolina, very dangerous team, but they're not in a great spot. They're coming off a huge win, a huge comeback win. They were down 18 in the third quarter to Wake Forest, still down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and mounted a terrific comeback, got the win in a Tobacco Road rivalry game, and the fans stormed the field after the game like they just won the national championship. I like going against teams hitting the road in situations like that And I think that's the difference maker tonight. I think that's worth 2 or 3 points. That means that even though I think the line is right in the game based on power ratings, I think the situational edge is clearly with the Panthers, and I am playing Pittsburgh tonight.
So I want to ask you this, Dave, because when the crowd rushes the field, the thought process is that team is going to be flat the next week.
Yep.
But from a Tar Heel player's perspective, the fans rush the field. They just beat an undefeated team. And we're talking about a squad that still hasn't clinched bowl eligibility, a team that is capable of moving the football up and down the field against that Pitt defense, and a team that's catching points. You think the situation here is bad enough to overcome all of that, essentially, for North Carolina, even though maybe the players I mean, how affected by that fans rushing the field situation do you think the players actually were for the Tar Heels?
What do you think they did after last? I can guarantee you they after the game they weren't saying, "Hey, forget about celebrating. We just beat Wake Forest. Big deal. We gotta play Pittsburgh." And it's a short week on top of that. I mean, it's a short week for Pittsburgh as well. But who do you want? The team that's off an easy game and needs this win? Or do you want the team that just came off, clearly its best win of the season? And, yeah, I know they need bowl eligibility, but they're not going to a big bowl this year. North Carolina's not going to reach the heights that I mean, this is a team that a lot of people had in the top 10 going into the season. They're not going to sniff the top 10. I just don't think it's a big game for them. I think that the emotional edge, if you want to call it that, is with the home team tonight. Doesn't mean North Carolina can't go out and play a great game, because they do have a good offense, and it's not like the Pittsburgh defense is going to win any awards. But I do think Pittsburgh is slightly better defensively, and I think Pickett's going to have a big game against North Carolina.
Dave Cokin joining us, everyone. Dave, one of our listeners, a PSU boy, writes, Dave looks like he would be a master saxophone player.
Yeah,
I see it.
That. Yep.
Right, Dave, you see it?
Wish I was.
Any instrument? Piano,
I messed
right?
around with I messed around with piano and guitar when I was a kid, and trumpet, because my dad actually was a musician before the war. He was a cornet player, and he was pretty good too. He played with some big bands, but I never took it very seriously. I was more interested in doing shit that I wasn't good at, which was mainly playing sports.
But I do see it, man. Some smoky jazz bar with a stand-up bass and a pianist and Dave Cokin on the sax.
And I do love jazz. I mean, I'm a huge jazz fan. Always have been.
Well, it loves you. Let's go. South Florida versus Cincinnati plus 23.5. Bearcats are out looking in. Are we going to get a big game out of them, or is this point spread way too high?
Well, I thought we were going to get a big game out of them against Tulane. Made a 5% play in the game. They won by 19. That didn't get there. I thought I would get a big game out of them last week against Tulsa. It's like they finished 6th in the first poll, the first one that counts. And it's like, well, that should have sent a message. You're unbeaten. You got to win over Notre Dame, and you're standing number 6. You got to be pissed off. And I thought, boy, if they get a chance to run this up on Tulsa to send a message, they're going to. A very close call at the end of regulation prevented Tulsa from perhaps sending the game to overtime. They called it a fumble on the field. I'm not so sure it was. It was close. So that certainly wasn't very impressive. So what we've seen is that Cincinnati has not stood up and come out with good performances in situations where they need to impress the voters. Can they do it here? Yeah, they can. South Florida's not very good. But one thing we've definitely seen the last 2 weeks, Cincinnati's having a lot of problems with their interior defense stopping the run. I mean, Tulsa ran all over them last week. And I'm sure South Florida's looking at the game film saying, all right, that's what we need to do. Let's make them stop the run. And if they can't do it, South Florida's going to hang around and be in the game. I'm not going to play it, but I don't want, I learned my lesson. Cincinnati is not a team I'm going to lay gigantic points with. Of course, that being said, they'll probably go out and win this game by 50. But I'm not going to be on it. And I'd have to lean to South Florida, to be honest. This is South Florida's bowl game.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. And my question has to do with the South Florida side of the equation. The young freshman quarterback, McNeil, he's a guy that's going to come in and make some plays, good and bad.
Yeah.
I haven't played the Bearcats this week, and I was kind of against you in the thought process last week talking about Tulsa. I thought the price was a little bit too high. But I haven't played it this week because I thought that this is a good matchup for Cincinnati's defense, a defense that can wreak havoc and potentially can create a whole bunch of turnovers against a very young offensive front for USF. And if you watched the game against Houston last week, you saw the Bulls hang around and cover the point spread in that game in large part because McNeil, he had a couple of throws that were just ridiculous that I don't know that he's going to be able to complete anything even close to that against Cincinnati. You think the Bearcats' defense is capable of taking over this game?
Well, against this offense,
USF off.
Against this offense, yes. I mean, look, they literally did kill Tulane in that game. Tulane was playing with a freshman quarterback, third stringer, because Pratt was out, and that was one of the reasons I played Cincinnati in that game. And they completely shut him down, basically. But they still didn't cover the spread. I don't know. Cincinnati's just – the offense hasn't exactly been sensational the last 2 weeks. It certainly wasn't against Tulane, which is a terrible defensive team. And it's not like they went up and down the field against Tulsa last week. They seem to be feeling the pressure. And you're not going to get any Cincinnati bargains from the odds makers at this point.
Dave Cokin. Dave, you got a 5% play up in college football this week. I know you have been unbelievable in these 5% plays for the last couple of years. Tell us what's going on.
I've got a 5% play in college football on Saturday.
There you go. That's the sales pitch, people. It comes with a Flowbee, Ginsu knives. You can get the Gorilla Tape. It will fix a boat and make it float. Dave Cokin, 5% play, college football. Okay. I should have been a pitch man. I actually auditioned to be a pitch man in Vegas, Teddy, about 15 years ago. I'm walking through a conference.
I remember.
And they're asking people to pitch. And it was like this light bulb or something. They gave you an hour to come up with your pitch. I went up to my room. I practiced. I came down. Oh, my God, dude. I could not have been worse. Anyway.
Yeah, you could have been. You could have been. Because you could have been like me. I
guess from that perspective.
I couldn't sell. I don't know. I guess I can't. Oh, hell, I can say whatever I want on this show, right? I couldn't sell pussy to a sailor on shore leave.
Well, there you go. Whoever commented about my behavior yesterday, please comment about Dave's today.
It's a good line. Okay.
Eson writes, Prez is annoying ASF. Only watch for Teddy and Dave. Could not agree with you more. I annoy myself. It's why I take breaks every now and again. Well, tomorrow Steve Merrill will be hosting the show because annoying Prez has to remove himself for a day. Anyway, I love it. I love that I create emotion inside of people. Syracuse +3 against Louisville. Dave, talk to me.
Similar teams. They both prefer to run first. And if they can do that, then their passing game can be really successful. I don't think there's much to choose between these teams. But that makes me kind of like Syracuse because I think you got a couple things working here. Again, we get to the scheduling dynamics. Syracuse didn't play last week. They got a nice week off, coming off a very good win at Virginia Tech. A lot of positive momentum. Sometimes you don't want the week off in that situation, but I think it's probably still more of a plus than a minus. And meanwhile, get Louisville coming off a grinder of a game with Clemson. I think Syracuse the fresher team here, and they are a team that is – their record could be better than it is because they lost a couple of games late that they probably could have and should have won. The quarterback is really put things together for Syracuse. I think they're going to win the game. I like the Orange going on the road and picking up a win against Louisville here. Let's see if they can stay hot. Dino Babers is saving his job because he was on the hot seat, and a couple of those early losses looked like the plank was getting greased. But I think Syracuse is going to get to a bowl, and optimism running high right now. So Babers probably off the hot seat at this point, and the Orange looking like they're a go-with team.
Well, I mean, they've been a go-with team all year. I think they have the best point spread record in college football this year. Only one ATS loss for the season for Syracuse. But I don't often disagree with you, Dave, when it comes to college football. But I don't think these teams are mirror images of each other at all. I mean, Louisville has a quarterback who can throw downfield and weapons downfield, and Malik Cunningham. And Syracuse is a quarterback in Garrett Schrader who has 1,100 passing yards on the season. And 51%
I'll disagree. Schrader has gotten much better. He was awful early. He was strictly a quarterback with legs. He's throwing the ball a lot better. I mean, he threw it really well against Virginia Tech. And I'm talking long passes, too. His confidence level is really improved, and so is his play. So I think the quarterback battle here is actually a pretty good one.
Dave Cokin, awesome stuff, man. We absolutely love having you.
No, I want to get Teddy. Teddy,
you want to argue with Teddy?
It's an interesting debate. What did you think of what I just said about Schrader?
I think that if I had to pick a quarterback to win the game tonight, I would pick Malik Cunningham over Schrader. I don't know that he's at, Cunningham's a 3-year starter now. Schrader had a good game against Virginia Tech. I've seen Schrader throw a lot more bad passes this year than I have Cunningham. And I like Louisville's weapons on the outside, and I like Louisville's interior defense. Their front has at least the potential to give Syracuse some issues at the line of scrimmage tonight. So I'm not stepping in front of the Orange, who've been an undervalued commodity.
And I will say this:
commodity in college football. It's not a game I'm playing. But I think Cunningham's a good notch or two better than Schrader.
Let me just find one note here.
While you look for that,
okay,
Joey 86.
Okay.
One
Syracuse.
sec, Dave. Joey 86. Dave, you ready, Dave? Go.
Yeah,
Go.
Syracuse is actually stopping the run better than Louisville is.
I think Syracuse has faced a weaker schedule than Louisville has. I'm sure Syracuse has faced a much weaker schedule than Louisville has.
They're still stopping the run.
Okay, I'm going to break the tie. Let's move on. Dave Cokin, everybody. Guys, stay with us real quick. Joey 86 writes, where are all the locks? At the locksmith.
Yeah.
Just go over. I'm sure there's one in your area. We'll take a quick break. Teddy's Big Game Breakdown. Ralph Michaels, my presidential address. I'm pumped today, dude. I'm excited. 10 seconds, everyone.
Would you like to bet $20 and win $100 at BetMGM regardless of your wager's outcome and get $100 in free wager bucks? Just go to wt.buzz/MGM for more details and find out if you're eligible for this amazing offer.
It is time for today's Big Game Breakdown. Let's go to the NFL for some Thursday night football. We have the Ravens and the Dolphins. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing Baltimore 7.5-point favorites. There are a couple of 8s out there. Total 46.5 just about everywhere. And I want to start with this. Ravens 9-0 against the spread against the Dolphins under John Harbaugh. Okay. There's been 6 Dolphins head coaches since John Harbaugh got the job in Baltimore. They've won 8 of 9 straight up and 9-0 ATS. Miami won by 2 in 2015, didn't cover. The last 3 meetings, 38-6, 40-0, 59-10. All ugly blowouts, including the most recent one in the 2019 opener, a game where there was a 49-yard run on the first snap of scrimmage. Baltimore had 6 touchdowns by halftime and finished with 623 total yards and a 59-10 victory. Do you know what that has to do with today's game? Nothing. Not a thing. 9-0 ATS, Baltimore against Miami. Who cares? All right. Even the most recent meeting in 2019. How many Dolphins players do you think are still on that team? 2019. I know the answer. The answer is 14 roster guys. Okay, out of 53. Here's one who was on the team. Jerome Baker. Quote, yeah, that was a tough one, thinking back to the season opening loss in 2019. That was definitely a tough game, but this team is completely different. I always tell the story of back then. I didn't even know some of the guys I was lined up with. I didn't know their names. This team is a lot different. We're better coached. We have better players. Thursday is going to be a challenge. We're definitely going to have some fun. All right, Mike Gesicki, who, by the way, after the win last week, quote, a ton. It means a ton, especially when we play our best football. Miami turned the ball over 5 times in that game. There's still a lot to correct, but there's finally something positive. That was after the game. Here's talking about the matchup with Baltimore and that ugly loss to the Ravens to open the 2019 season. Quote, yeah, I think we've grown a lot in these 3 seasons or 2.5 seasons, however long it's been. Obviously, every year is a new year. I can't even compare this team to that team, whether it's good or bad. We've seen something pretty consistent from Baltimore this year, and maybe a little bit surprising. 3 times already this season, and the Ravens have, 6 wins. So in half of their 6 wins this year, they've rallied from behind with double-digit deficits in the second half of ball game. All right, Tucker hits clutch field goals. The defense steps up. Lamar Jackson, I'd rather not be playing from behind, but our team, we're fighters. We believe in each other. We've got faith. All of that is true. So when we put all of this together, we have Baltimore as a public team, Baltimore with all these wins over Miami that don't mean anything, a Baltimore team that is consistently falling behind in games, and a Dolphins team that is saying all the right things about this matchup this week. Put it all together, it's a first half play for me. Look at Miami plus the 4 in the first half against a Baltimore team that sometimes turns it on after halftime, but has not been a team getting off to hot starts. Give me the Dolphins plus the 4 first half. There's your big game break. Back to you, Brett.
Yeah, Teddy, I absolutely love that play. It makes so much sense. And not only Baltimore bad in the first half, they're actually one of the worst first quarter teams in the league. Do you have any thoughts on the first quarter bet?
I don't do a lot of first quarter bets because the first quarter bets have a lot to do with who wins the coin toss. I tend to make
that's a good point.
Bets first half bets.
There you go. Before we bring Ralph in, I got to talk about something Paul W. wrote in the chat room because it's so good. He writes, Prez is like sauerkraut. First taste unsettling, and then he grows on you. So I want to speak to that, Teddy, because I tell people this all the time. I call it the 10 stages of the Prez. I'm 52 years old. I know who I am. I know you don't care to hear this. I know who I am, and I know all my shortcomings. There's a process with me. When you first meet me, I'm an arrogant, narcissistic dick. You hate me. Then you meet me the second time, and you start liking me a little bit more. By the 10th time, you realize I'm in on the joke, and you like me. So you are right, Paul W. It takes a while. But if you can get through the first 3 stages of the Prez, it should be smooth sailing from there on in. Teddy, go ahead.
All I have to say is, of all the nicknames I've ever heard from you, sauerkraut might be at the top of the list. I think we'll start calling you that.
Dude, I think that's more appropriate for you. You are the most sour human being on the planet. Anyway, Ralph Michaels. Welcome to the show, guys. Please hit that like button. Do it for Dave. Do it for Ralph. What's up, my brother?
Well, Prez, that explains a lot because I think I've met you 6 times.
Oh, so you've gotten through the first 3 the tough phases.
Well, you said 10 is when it turns, so I'm at 6.
No. It starts to turn slowly at 4. But by the time you get to 10... well, that's when you're asking me for money and my advice. And, well, you know.
That happened before number 1, Prez. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're right. It did. I actually, Ralph, it's so funny you say that because I realized that as soon as I said it. Yes, that's freaking hilarious, man. We love having you on, dude. Twice this week. That's your time. You got a lot of charts. I'm assuming. I'm just going to hand the mic over to you and listen and learn.
I am chartless, guys. I feel like,
God.
we're going, thanks for paying attention to what I put in Slack, Prez, but I'm chartless, but that doesn't mean we're not going to go over something. And you guys, we talked about this in college football last week a little bit with some charts. And I just want to expound on it because it really is an important key to handicapping college football in November. Number one, let me just mention 7 losses. Everyone has goals at the beginning of the year, be it national championship, be it win your conference. But almost every team in college football has a goal of getting to a bowl. It doesn't matter even if you're Akron or Connecticut or UMass. Your goals are still, okay, we can get to 6 somehow. Well, when you hit your 7th loss, those goals are gone. You see young coaches normally play young kids, freshmen, coaches that are in the hot seat likely are then to get fired after a 7th loss, and your goals are shattered. So what happens on your way to becoming bowl eligible for those teams? So I wanted to look at teams that have 5 wins in November. You are playing, you have 5 wins, you could be 5-4, you could be 5-5, you could be 5-6, but you have 5 wins. When you are playing on the road in November, those 5-win teams looking for a bowl eligible 6th win on the road cover 59%. That's a positive. I was surprised it was that high. But look at the flip side. When you have 5 wins, you need 1 more win to get to a bowl. You are having pressure in front of your home crowd. Everyone's telling you you win this game and you're into a bowl. At home, teams cover only 45%. And as a home dog, 5-win teams cover 36.7% of the time. So South Carolina is an away favorite in a 59% roll with 5 wins. Texas Tech and Tennessee in a roll, 5 wins as a home dog. Now here's the bizarre thing, and this is when I have too many stats in front of me. I'm giving you a situation where Tennessee is only 36% in their roll, and I'm going to come back and use them as a best bet. So don't call me stupid because I tell you there are situations we play against our charts and our situations. This is one of them, but it's more the thought process of looking at those 5-win teams.
So I'm real interested in this one, Ralph, because it's kind of counterintuitive in a couple of different ways. When we talk about, I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around is why. I see the numbers where they are as we look back, but do you think these same numbers that we're talking about, close to 60% with the 5-win road teams and in the 45% range for the 5-win home teams, do you think that's predictive moving forward, or do you think that's a little bit of randomness, and if we look at this sample size over the next 10 years, we'll get something closer to 50-50?
Well, Teddy, I'm at a 5-year mark with this because everyone's played 12 games for that period of time, and there's sort of an age of college football where I think that applies. I think home field with pressure is overrated and often a negative. A lot of times people think and they read, oh, it's homecoming, and that's a positive. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not. Your family's in town, your friends are in town, you're distracted. The other team is focused, that you made them your homecoming opponent. I think the same thing happens here. When you're going for that 6th win and you have the pressure at home and everyone's talking to you all week, you talked about the same thing often, Teddy, in the NBA. When a home team on Christmas is at home, they're dealing with family crap. They are dealing with all the distractions of family and friends and the holidays, while the road team is on a road trip. They know you are focused to play them, and they have this game circled. The home dog situation makes perfect sense to me because that opponent is better than you coming in, and you've got a distracted team playing with pressure.
So do you want to talk about the Vols then now?
Yeah, Teddy, you would say to me, Ralph, we're going to talk about the Vols here. They're a 20-point home dog, so there's room for them to still cover this game. But you just told us it's a 36% home dog angle. I should have done this, Teddy, and I'm remiss and Prez that I didn't. I'm sure it's much different the first week in November if you're 5-4, then if you're 5-5, and if you're 5-6. If there's big numbers, I'll break that down next week. Tennessee's a team that, despite their record at 5-4, they have a long way to go. They know they're going to win a game. They know they're going to get to a bowl. They don't have that same pressure. You're playing the number one team. This Tennessee team also, statistically, their profile statistically, they are number 11 in yards per game. Number 23 in yards per game diff. They are a top 25 team. And when I look at the offenses Georgia has faced, I just think there's a lot of variance there. Yes, Georgia is by far the best defense Tennessee has faced, but we're also talking about a Georgia team that has faced most of their opponents at home and now having to play on the road. So the way the home-road dichotomy is, the way Tennessee's offense is going to play at the pace they do, they're number one in the NCAA in plays per game. You're talking about a Georgia defense that usually only plays 55 or 60 plays because they're such a dominant force. I think this is going to be the most tired they're going to be. And yes, it's not going to be crazy. I mean, you guys talked about Syracuse and Pittsburgh and North Carolina before I came on. I'm just going to allude to the North Carolina Tar Heels were on the field. Their defense was on the field for 90 plays against Wake Forest last week. And now you're playing another incredible offense on the road on a short week. Well, Georgia has played a set of offenses where nothing compares to this. This Tennessee offense has put up 461 yards on their worst game at Kentucky last week. The margin's just too big for me. When I have a good offense and a good defense, yes, I'll normally take the good defense. But when I have a good offense at home against a defense that hasn't played on the road, getting almost 3 touchdowns against the Georgia offense that, let's face it, if they're not put in a great position from their defense, giving them the ball where they do, they're not going to be nearly as effective points per game as they've been. So I am going to be on the balls here plus the 20.5.
So I'm tempted with you, but I've one major concern. You talked about being on the field. And Tennessee's defense was on the field for 46 minutes last week? Their opponent, Kentucky, ran 99 plays on them last week. Before that, Alabama ran 92 on them. Before that, Ole Miss ran 101 on them. In their last 3 games, it's been 292 plays this defense has been on the field. You worry about the Tennessee defense wearing down in this one, because that's my biggest concern with the Vols on Saturday.
All right. Can I insert a joke here, Teddy?
Yes.
Tennessee, that was an easy 99 plays because they didn't tackle anyone. Those guys on defense didn't have any physicality. They just stood there and watched the players run. No, so that's the joke. Yes, I'm concerned. But again, it's a big difference being concerned in a game that's a pick 'em or a single digit. Then yes, you're going to give up your 40 points, and can you get to 20? And yes, I think they can get to the 20. And I think they're more likely to get to the 20 than Georgia the 40. So when you break out a game handicapping the two sides and you're looking at each team's totals, what you have to get to cover, I do think Tennessee more likely to get to 20 than Georgia 40. And I'm happy to take that backing with the plus 20 points.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. Ralph, great stuff, man. We got still more to come. I just want to let everybody know, over 300 of you guys watching, only 69 likes. I'm going to stick to my guns, man. I know some of you don't care about the daily presidential address. That's fine. If we don't get to 100 likes, there will not be one. Ralph, Teddy, before we get into your next game, New Orleans, Tennessee, Paul W. And listen, I want to bring these guys into these shows. These are our loyal listeners. When they ask questions, and they're good questions, I want to try talk about them briefly. He writes, and Ralph, I'll go to you on this. How much do you factor in that the 49ers have swept the Rams the last 2 years in a row coming into this game? I'm going to say right off the bat, I don't factor it in at all. Ralph?
Well, I have 2 numbers that on Bet On It, the TNA segment I do with Kelly Stewart in the NFL segment. I will bring up this. Revenge to me, again, is the most overrated term in betting. Why? Because in the NFL, someone has revenge every game. It's a fact. It has to be the case. So yes, every team has revenge. But when you get swept by a division foe, couple numbers to support that. The Rams lost their last game to San Francisco last year because they had a 4-1 turnover deficit. If you are playing a division foe with revenge and you had 3 or more turnovers, that means you played a sloppy game and you lost it. Those teams have gone 47-23, 67% in their next game. And if you are playing a division foe, you have revenge, and you offer previous loss, like the Rams are, you are 62% going 34-21. And guys, we're going to talk about it at the start of next segment. Listen to this next angle coming up in just a minute. What happens to a good team off a loss this late in the NFL season?
Yeah, and just to throw my 2 cents in real quick, Prez, when it comes to divisional versus non-divisional, is the non-divisional games, there's no revenge in the NFL. Maybe there's playoff loss revenge. Divisional games, it's real. All right, the divisional opponents. If you lost both games to that team last year, you would expect a concerted effort this year. If you lost both games to them last year and the year before, it becomes a real circle the wagons game for any divisional foe. Even if you're talking about a bottom feeder against an elite team, even if you want the Dolphins against the Patriots or whoever, you still see that effort in the divisional games in a way that you don't in other theoretically revenge type situation. The only revenge in the NFL that's meaningful in my mind, a little bit playoffs, but mostly divisional opponents. When you get swept the season before, I would only play the Rams on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Ralph, I know you have something to add. Sorry, brother. I just want to say quickly, the fact that you had numbers ready on this game, a game that we were not going to talk about, now go.
You know what I'll do? I'm writing the note now for next week. We did this last year. So next week here on the show, guys, make sure to tune in. We will go through what happens in the second meeting of your division game. If you lose the first game as a home favorite, win the first game as a home favorite, lose the first game as a away dog, or win the game as an away favorite. I'll run through all those scenarios, and we will do division revenge here on this show next Thursday.
Brilliant. Love it. Guys, 10 more likes, and I know effing Bob is like, Prez is whiny about the likes. Let me explain something. We are all a team. There's a ton of competition on YouTube. We literally do the best sports betting daily show on the planet. Teddy and I put a lot of work into this. All of our guests put a lot of work into this. In order for us to keep moving up the rankings on YouTube, we need likes, we need subscribers, we need comments. It is not whiny to ask for that. It's whiny to ask for money. We don't want money. We want you to take 1 second and hit a like button. Ralph, what do you got for us on this amazing Tennessee-New Orleans game?
Well, I want to talk about one thing first, Prez. And Prez and Teddy, of all the angles and all the systems, Teddy's mentioned numerous times. Trends and angles usually refer to a team-specific, which can change on a dime. If you lose a player, if you lose a coach, if something happens. Team-wide system and angles are much stronger because they fit a mold, and it usually is how NFL teams react in a situation. So what if I told you this? It doesn't get any simpler for our fans and our viewers to pay attention to. Notice, Prez, I had to separate those because of you. I said fans/viewers. On my other shows, I just say fans because fans and viewers are the same thing. But we appreciate it, Prez, because if they want you to like you or watch you to hate you, you're getting us the views, and I do thank you for that. So here's the situation. Enough joking around. Game 8 on in the NFL. So you're halfway through the season up until this year, and now you're almost halfway through the season. So I think we understand, we know what NFL teams are. If you are game 8 on in the NFL, you have a win percentage of 70% or higher. So you are either 6-2, you are 7-3 or better, and you are off a loss. It's that simple. Game 8 on, win percentage of 70% higher, and you're off a loss. If you play those teams in the last 9 years, you have covered 60% of the games. It's that easy. A quality team late in the year off a loss. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Dallas, and the Rams are all in this role. But when I took the road teams, I go from 60% to 71.4%. 70% win percentage, week game 8 on, off a loss, 30-12 against the spread, 71%. That's Tampa Bay and the Rams. And if I add in off a loss as a home favorite, we're game 9, Rams win percentage over 70%, off a loss as a home favorite, on the road, 83.3%. It doesn't get any higher in the NFL for that length of system for 9 years to have an 83.3% system on the LA Rams.
Teddy?
That's why
You're
you
looking
don't
good.
check your Slack, do you? Yeah.
And my computer shut down. My computer ran out of battery 1 minute ago. So you are correct, my brother. Okay. I did not
well, now I understand.
check my Slack.
Why?
Okay, anyway,
I
Ralph.
assumed that you would actually listen. Ralph, great stuff today, as always. What do you have to promote before we let you go?
Check out the guides, guys. College football logs, the NFL logs, the NBA daily stat sheet with the best bet on my Twitter every day, and the college hoops guide. I will be starting a weekly college basketball. I'm going to let it get a couple weeks in, so I just don't have info with 1 or 2 games. But do check out the guide. It has to help you this college basketball season. It's worth the free download.
Yeah, it really is, Ralph. It's just outstanding stuff and great work like always. What an amazing show, Teddy. We got one more segment left. We achieved our 100 likes. Shout out to all of you guys for helping that happen. Really appreciate all the kind words. Dan, our producer, cue it up, baby. Okay, guys, what a great show. Wager Talk Today. Make sure to check it out if you're seeing this on Twitter. We had Dave Cokin on, 3 college football games. Ralph Michaels on, a college football game, an NFL game, and a bunch of amazing information on top of that. And, of course, Teddy took apart in great detail the Baltimore-Miami game tonight. I want to make sure you guys all know the NFL Presidential address is up. It went up a few hours ago. You can find it at WagerTalk TV, our YouTube channel. I am killing it on that show. And for all the people who don't like the Prez, watch it twice. As for your games today, here are your free picks. My computer shut down. I had to take a picture of my information. Anyway, we're going with the Washington Capitals over the total in hockey. We are also going with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, they are a huge dog tonight, playing in Colorado. And look, I love the Vancouver Canucks. I've been on them twice in the last 6 days. I've lost both times with them. But I'm telling you guys, I think this is a buy team moving forward. As for the football game tonight, I like the Dolphins tonight. The bottom line for me is I think the Ravens are the most overrated. Not the most overrated team in football, but I think Pittsburgh's probably the most overrated team in football, but I think the Ravens are right there. I mean, this is a team that lacks power, superstar power anywhere. They don't. Lamar Jackson, it's a one-man show. Their secondary is a mess. Their wide receivers are not world class. They have a great tight end and a great quarterback and a great coach. I think Miami has to feel good after their win last week. I'm taking them at home, +7 and a hook. I'm taking the Dolphins. That's it, brother. I'm going for a bagel, cream cheese, lox, tomato, cucumber, and red onion today, Teddy. Thank you for...
And just to give out those lines, to be specific, Washington, who Prez likes over, 6 the total for the Caps tonight, and Vancouver in the +170 range on the road at Colorado. That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with Prez and I and our guests. I want to thank Ralph Michaels. Want to thank Dave Cokin. Want to thank all the fine gentlemen behind the scenes. And want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.